Hello everyone. So before to start this presentation that is called IT to consider the biosphere, I wanted to thank you all for your involvement in this very nice event. I think it went very well, in grace of your involvement to all. Our participants were really motivated and they shown a lot of motivation. They asked a lot of questions, particularly from what I've observed to the mentors IT, but also to the partners and the specialists in wildlife that accompany us along the weekend and that have done some very nice presentation. We learned things very interesting. And on the ethic for AI part, I would like to thank you, Sarah. It was critical to have you on board. So why IT to consider the biosphere? When we say consider, it means two things. It means first to pay attention to, and it's important to pay attention to because it means that we dedicate time to understand how it works and how it lives. And so we consider it really. The second meaning is that we evaluate it. As human, we evaluate things continuously. We have senses, five senses, so we can feel, we can hear, we can view, we can smell, we can taste. All that things that make possible for us to put together kind of data to predict and to make some decision on situations. With the IT, we have some additional senses today, as for example with the captors, the IoT, etc., that are able to feel things that we cannot feel as human with our body. Another thing that is interesting regarding the consideration is that as a human, as an individual, we could simultaneously consider a certain number of factors. But as a group of humans, we can even consider a larger number of factors to take a decision, for example. But as an IT system, with a lot of people connected, it's even better to take the decisions, or it's even a higher way to be able to take a larger number of factors to consider in decision processes. But we should not be far from the goal of this. So what is the goal of biosphere consideration or of the consideration? Is that we want to take care of. We have to understand things, to evaluate things in order to make some prediction, to be sure that we could take care of what we want, of what we need, of what we like, and coming to the next slide, so enriched and structured understanding of life, so that's talking about data as well. So in the term of biosphere, what does data means finally? So if we look at this very nice picture that shows different things, in fact, we have a giraffe, and we have a tree, and we have the savanne, and we have the earth, I would say. We see that it's not only isolated things. We see that there is an interaction, and that's, I think, the second idea after the consideration that it's important, this idea of interaction. Things are related together. So one track is to be able more and more to consider things that are interrelated together, that are definitely connected together, to see and to understand how they function and how they impact each other. So the goal of this could be, as we said, to make some predictions, to make some analysis of correlation, but to measure interaction also. And why I do think that we are coming at the age of the interaction understanding, it's because of at least one reason. It's that we hear a lot talking about the big data, so we apply now big data strategy and a lot of domains, but on those specific topics that are key for the next generation and key for the next year now. the big data at its place. Why is that? Because it could help us to understand how things are related together. So not only isolated, we can capture more data and we can consider those data into systems that are going bigger and going more resilient as well, to understand not only one thing but how things are connected together. So how to learn efficiently to address the stakes? So the stakes, we face a lot of stakes. We have, for example, the question of the wildlife and the nature, the biodiversity, the ecology, we have the energy, we have the education, so a lot of different stakes. What are the challenges on this? I think one of the challenge is that we have to learn from a diversity of situation to preserve it. So we have to understand a very large diversity of situation, of ecosystem, of in each of these stakes, we have to go very further, very deep into detail on a lot of different situations. But at the same time, we have to learn from repetition of experiences. Why is that? So we have to observe things repetitively. This is in order to make sure that our observation is relevant. It's not because I've seen one thing one time that I can deduce a rule on this one. It's not a fact. I have to observe it few times at least to make it as a relevant information. So we have a lot to do at the same time because we have to do this repetition of observation, but we want, on the first point, to learn on a very large diversity of situations. One idea I have in mind regarding this challenge is that maybe we could today distribute the learning capacities. So I'm just providing you with a very quick example. I hope it's relevant in that case. It's more regarding plant than the wildlife because I master more this subject. So I take this example. I have a lila on my in my garden, so it's in a pot, a lilac. It's very nice, but for a few years back, it was not going very well. It was going down. The leaves was disappearing in some places. So I was wondering what's happening to my lila. When I had a look closer to it, I've detected that there were some bugs reproducing on it. So I wanted to preserve my lila because I like it. So I decided to make something about these bugs. At least not coming back the next year because it was seasonality phenomenon each year. So I've done some searches online. I went to a shop specialized on these things, and they say, okay, there is this you can pulverizate this thing and etc. But I didn't want to put something toxic, and it's not good for the child as well. So I was trying to find any solution, but I wasn't able to find any good idea representing this. On one day, I talked about this to my grandma, because I know she does like the lilac as well. And she said, have you tried to put a lavender aside your lilac? And I said, no, but why is that? And she encouraged me to try. And that's what so I said, thank you, I've tried it. And the fact is that the next year, when I did it, I put my lavender close to my lilac. The bugs didn't come back. So the year after, I redid the same experience. So I kept the lavender close to my lilac. And again, no bugs. I was thinking, wow, how did she know that? So thank you, Grandma. How did you know that? I know that because I don't exactly remember. My mother or the mother of my mother told me, or etc. And I was thinking, wow, it's kind of the way that we can see the culture itself. The culture could be seen all around the world by repetition of experience, an observation of the result of this experience through times. And I was thinking that on the agricultural way, today, the way that we do the agricultural way, like with a lot of monoculture, unfortunately, but it's not maybe not only bad because we have to feed a lot of people and a lot of animals, etc. So that's not something I want to go into detail, but it's not only bad. It's also an answer to a certain situation at a certain period of time. But the fact is that we continue in that way for now. Some things are evolving a little, but not very fast. The fact that we do this monoculture, in a way, avoid us to continue to learn on some new experiences in this type of relationships between plants, for example. So I was thinking maybe we could find some possibilities to distribute the capacity of experimentizing things and plants, for example, but why not regarding the wildlife, we could say, because maybe the only way to consider the wildlife is maybe not by isolating it. Why not to think about different kind of situation, different kind of equilibrium between human, animals, plants, and etc. Kind of different equilibriums. And the other idea coming directly from this one is that after a while, distributing the experience, centralize the data from this experience, could be anonymized, could constitute a command for the human being or the planet, I don't know, for the next generation. So continue to make new experiences regarding the nature in order to preserve it in the future. That brings me to the last slide of the presentation, which is tracks to prioritize between stakes. So it's also searching or tend to an equilibrium. It's at least a track of it is this one. So find an equilibrium between expertise and citizen representativity, because we do know that expertise is very important, is key to understand things into details, but as well the citizen representativity is very important. What does the people need? What do they want? So there is something in economics that it's called the utility function that allow us to try to summarize what are the goals, what are the needs, what are the wishes of people, for example, but that could be animals. We can think about this function of utility and based those on how to respect things, how to respect a species, for example. What do they need to stay alive, to be in good health? So we could try to summarize on an individual way, but on a grouped way as well, the utility functions, because the weight of this function show what are the needs at a certain moment for each of those people, for example, or animals. And aggregating the result of this function of utility, not the result, aggregating the utility function of all individuals allow us to make a global utility functions to understand more what has to be prioritized at a certain period of time. And it brings us back to the interaction, I think, because it's a kind of finding a way to compose between the different utility functions and about all that we want to preserve. So it's more consider the end than the whole. So considering things at the same times. It's now possible with the performance and the resources that we have. So why not to give some tries? But why to prioritize? Again, this question. Because maybe we cannot do everything at the same time. We cannot face all the stakes and we cannot face all the projects, for example, at the same time. So we have to agree on what we are going to do. Why is that? Because we have to face, for example, the stake of energy spent. Energy spent is not translating only into carbon dioxide. It's only translating into entropy of things, as it was explained in the thermodynamic. So we have to be more resilient to choose in which way we are going to invest some energy in order not to multiply the tracks and to spend a lot of energy in different tracks. I think on this one we have to try to focus and to be agreed on what we are going to focus first, but trying to consider a lot of things in the same time, so the interaction between things. And I think that's maybe the next one of the next events we could organize, like a hackathon that could consider different fields, so wildlife, but also human, but also energy, also education, how this is connected together, and how we can find, we can search some solution in order to preserve and to ameliorate all of those at the same time. Last point regarding the ethic in AI, it's very critical. So ethic means also anticipate the impact. So it's not only I want to develop a solution today and okay, it will work perfectly, I will get this data, I will be able to do tomorrow this with those, but what about the day after tomorrow? How does it translate finally in different terms, and what other fields that this solution could impact? And understand more, that means understanding more the bias of our modeling, because when we consider different things at the same time, we can limit the bias, because sometimes the bias comes from the residual part of the model, so the unexplained part of the model, and this could come from the interaction that are not measured, the impact that I was not able to consider or to anticipate. There is a lot to say on those questions. I hope it was interesting and not too philosophical, and I was just wondering what could be the real positive impact of the IT, and maybe not going in too many directions at the same time, but trying to consider factors on expertise, on even citizen representativity, to find better solution for the future. Thank you very much for your attention. It will be a pleasure to discuss with you. This event is just marvelous, and I look forward to get to look at the next step. Thank you. Bye bye.